Yo, I'm building my own dream. All because y'all said I couldn't.
Two for the team, we getting off of the block. I see him aiming at me, tell him get off of my jock. I'm gon' black out, I'm gon' black out, I'm gon' black out. Give me my ish, I'm back now.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another edition of the How to Build Your Own Dreams podcast. My name is Aaron Knight. I'm the president and co-founder of Build Your Own Dreams.
Yeah, I'm Brandon Boone. I'm co-founder of Build Your Own Dreams, and we're in Austin, Texas still, and we have a very, very, very special guest. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to let her introduce herself, but this is Key. Let us know who you are, what you do, and we're going to jump right in because I'm excited.
So, hey everyone, I'm Keyheira. I'm Keyheira Keys, so a lot of times people call me Key or Keys, and I don't know what I do. I work with creatives, always trying to just, mainly small business creatives, BIPOC creatives, my people. A lot of times we have to work on a shoestring budget. We want to be creative. We want to get visibility and awareness. And I kind of come in and help them fulfill their dreams or build their dreams.
Come on now.
That's kind of how I do it. I would consider myself, if I had to give a title, I would say a cultural strategist. I use marketing, creative strategies, PR strategies, just to help us tell our stories and to get the work we do out.
Yeah. And then you've been in Austin for a minute, right?
Yeah. People think I am born and raised in Austin, but I actually was born in Corpus and moved all around like the South and some of East Coast a little bit. And once my dad got out of the military, we were living in Arkansas, and my mom was like, no. She's like, no, I'm a city girl. We got to get to the city. I don't know why my parents chose hippie Austin, but I'm so glad they did because I feel like I just kind of fit in here.
Yeah. So I think for us, we just start. I think you're our third interview.
Okay.
But we like to highlight creative entrepreneurs, but not like the norm. Like it's so many different ways you can do it. That's why I was like, I got my list of people I want to talk to. You is definitely at the top because what you're doing is different. It's not a normal way that normal people would do it. So I guess a quick background. We met pre-pandemic. I don't know exactly when.
Right.
I remember. I don't even know how we even got connected. I just remember us meeting at Popeyes. I don't know how that meeting happened.
We did have a lunch at Popeyes. Shout out to Popeyes.
Yeah.
But I think I got connected with you with Leandra and Martin.
Ah, that's right. Okay, dope. So we met and then we did a few things. You helped me put together the Celebrating Our Black. Yeah. I kind of helped you with one of the your museum gallery curations that you do. And then, we always we rock with the same people. Austin is super close knit, especially people of color. And we just been building ever since. So I just wanted to shout you out and thank you for everything you've been doing for the community. I love giving people their flowers. I'm a super fan. I'm always watching from afar. I'm not just saying this because it's on podcasts, but I love watching people. And the way that you curate events is the same mindset that we do. And a lot of people don't curate events. They throw events, but they don't curate events.
But they don't curate.
You know what I'm saying?
I will say that is one of the things that stuck out to me was just the quality of the work that you did. And I was automatically drawn to it. And I do appreciate, I will say, of like now we going into like 5 years, 6 years knowing each other, and we have helped each other out, and I don't think we've ever talked money. Like we never, it's just like
we
if you need
it.
this and I got it, and that's crazy because we didn't know each other from a can of paint, but we just respected the work that we did, and that's honestly how I like to work with people. Like if I like what you're doing, if there's anything I can help enhance, if I got any resources, why not? Like it's for us, it's for the culture. Why not?
That's what people say they be for the community, but it's like behind the scenes it's always not. It's people that say it in front and it sounds good, but it's not that many people really in general. But also it's a good community here, but in general a lot of people don't really be about the community.
Yeah, I know that you are super about the community because it's like every time I'm in town, Brandon will be like, oh, let's go to this or let's go to that. And it's like, we'll walk in and you're there. I'm like,
facts.
Every event. And then it's like, sometimes you're there pulling up, showing love. But a lot of times you're like, oh, yeah, da-da-da. I was just I just kind of help them do. I'm like, you helping every event in Austin do something because you be everywhere. That's why I know you really care about people in the community, because it's like you show up for people and it's evident.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And that's honestly something I'm trying to work on more. I felt like I got in this space where it was like I only came out if it was about money, But I do think
you got to get your money. That's okay.
Right.
That's okay.
But I do think it goes back to that community aspect. Like, I'm big on community. Like I said, you and I never really talk money. If I can help you, I'll do that. But in a city sometimes where people say they're about community and not always about that, like, you don't really see me at a lot of events.
Right,
so I do take that as a compliment because I don't pop out. So if we at the same events often, it's because I'm supporting what you do or I'm supporting whoever is putting this event on. So, yeah, I'm glad I keep running into y'all.
Fact. It'd be random, too. It'd be super random.
And I remember when we ran into each other at the Tulsa event at South by.
Oh,
we in line for tacos. I'm like, Brandon?
What's up?
And then at the sneaker joint this year, was that this year?
You curated the sneaker.
It was like a sneaker museum.
Oh, yeah. How did I forget about that? That actually was like so much fun.
It was tight.
That was my show on the Art of the Black Entrepreneur. So I took Keyheira Rum, which was, you've worked with Keyheira Tropical Rum. There was a shoe store kicking it, ATX in the Domain. It's the first Black-owned shoe store in the Domain. It's also the first Black-owned shoe store with a full-service bar.
Oh,
so
wow.
in the U.S., so they the only ones who got the alcohol.
We gotta pull up.
But I took just what they did with shoes, because I think during South by you see so many people's outfits and you're like, where do you get that from? Where they get them shoes from? And I think a lot of times South by has gotten so big where it's about money, but our culture is left out of it. When I'm seeing everybody dress like us, and so. That exhibit was just to talk about how fashion and consumerism kind of capitalized on Black culture but left us out of it. So, when we're seeing people on the runway, we've been wearing Forces, but you seeing white people honestly, in do-rags and Forces on the runway, and I'm like, but when we did it, it's ghetto. Right. So that whole exhibit was just to pay homage to shoe culture, to urban culture, and to our love and, our flavor, because it's really us.
Yeah. So I guess where does your creative journey begin? Because you have a full-time job, right?
Yes.
But then you also do the creative stuff on the side. So where did that inspiration come from?
I think I was just born to create. I tend to be a creative person, but not in the way that I think other people are creative. Like, I'm creative with business. I cannot color with crayons inside the lines. Cannot do it for the life of me, but I can get creative with strategies, with ideas and stuff like that. So I know that I can't do it on my own because I'm not as creative as a full-time artist. I don't have the time and dedication being a mommy, having a full-time career. Right. And so that also just limits me in some ways. And so I always try and extend that to other creatives. Like, we can split the proceeds. We can split the fee I'm gonna get on this. I'm bigger on the quality of the product that we're giving to other people. So I would say that's kind of when my creative journey started, but it always will go back to music. And
right.
So, I'm a music head, hip hop head, just love everything about music. And so in college, I found myself working around South by, and I loved it. And I got to work with Live Mixtapes. This is 2012. So I did worked with them on their showcase. And so that was when the bug started. It was,
and they used to have a massive showcase.
They did,
multiple days.
Yeah. So 2012, they had Mac Miller. They brought him in. They brought in Yo Gotti. This is when Kevin Gates, y'all, I really stunted on Kevin Gates. Who is this guy? Screaming into the mic with. At that time, he didn't have an entourage. And I'm like, who? Get him off the stage. But after that, and then I remember Nipsey Hussle came into the showcase, just to check out what we were doing. And I was like, this is what I want to do forever.
Wow.
So, I would say that kind of got my creative juices going in music. So I started working with artists, but y'all know what it's
Right,
artists.
Don't get us started, please.
So I was like, okay, you know, I love working with artists, but it's stressful and it's not as much money in it. So how can I offset that? And that just kind of led to visual art and creative direction and art exhibits, and it just kind of just bloomed from there.
Dope. So what started, or how did you get into it? Like, if somebody want to do what you do, because I think a lot of times people think to be a creative it looks one way. Like, you got to be a painter. You actually got to be the one making the music. But it's so many different lanes you can get in. So how did you find your way to working with the live mixtapes and the different artists and the galleries you work with?
Well, I would say, honestly, I got a lot of no's. Like, it was a lot of no's in the beginning that just kind of fueled me of like, I just wanted to work with people, and they told me no. So I was just like, I'll do it myself, and I'll figure out, you know, another way to do this. And so I think finding my community and the people who wanted to work with me, wanting to work with the style of the way I worked and understood my morals and my integrity, I think it just kind of grew from like finding my tribe in that way. But it did start from me just saying, you know what, you told me no, I'm gonna show you. You missed this jet. Yeah. Like, you know, I'll do it without you. And then I think after a while that kind of just morphed into, it doesn't have to be a bone to pick with somebody. What about just what's missing? Like, you know, what is the community missing here from a creative standpoint? Now that I've built up my network and my resources, what can I do to give back, to put into something, you know, that's given so much to me?
Okay, so you mentioned you kind of flew over some of the projects that you work on. You don't have to mention all of them, but what are some of your favorite things that you're doing now? What are some things that you're involved in that you're like, okay, people swagged on me, but now that I'm doing what I want to do, these are some of the things. I know you mentioned the South by thing, but these are some of the things that I really enjoy and that I'm working on and building.
Gotcha. I would say gallery exhibits is one of like just a passion that came out of nowhere. And I really like doing that because, again, a lot of people told me no. I didn't have that background in, you know, arts in that way. So I took a very DIY approach. And I think with that, you know, artists are very bougie and it's very, you know, so it was kind of like, I think sometimes people had their nose down at some of the work that I did, but I do appreciate like some of the artists that allowed me to show their work that are now like mega artists like Donna Coro, Adrian Armstrong. Like, they were the ones who kind of believed in me. And I think just getting that art exhibit bug has really taken me a lot of places. I got to do one exhibit called Where's Here, where we focused on East Austin. We took 100 people, age 0 to 100, and basically took a snapshot. Like, it was a portrait photo, but it was a snapshot of the city at that moment. Whoa. Because we had babies who were just born, like the new generations, but the oldest person I think we interviewed was 107. Wow. So seeing a city or a community that is being rapidly gentrified and it changing, you know, for us to do this project. And it took around a year and a half because I was like, I want to be like, we have to go to the community. I think a lot of people who work in the community oftentimes feel like the community got to come to you. Yeah. Like, when you're really doing the work, like, you have to go out to the community. And so we went to like barbecues and churches and everywhere where Black people in East Austin was, because we also understood they don't really trust the community like that no more, or at least the leaders and the, you know, the powers that be. And so I had to build trust and had to, you know, going in an old lady's home, like 100 plus lady, you know, they're very
really
particular.
Trust you.
Right. So, you know, it was some people we talked to for 3 months before they invited us to their house. And so that was so amazing. But I think the most amazing part about it was we worked on it a year and a half and it launched February of 2020.
Wow. Right
before the pandemic. And so many people passed away, you know, and it was people whose photos we had taken who hadn't had a professional photo ever. Wow. It was some who hadn't had it in decades. So then us not knowing this pandemic is approaching, we happened to do this, and it became essentially like an archive for their families. So we had families reaching out after their loved ones passed and was like, can we have that photo? Like, this was the last professional photo we had of them. And so it became like almost us interweaved in their families. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and we just doing it just to show love to our community and the place that I worked and grew up. But then National Portrait Gallery of London picked up some of the photos. So it was one woman, she was like 78, and she had never been out of East Austin, and she actually ended up passing away. But she allowed us to use her photo in the National Portrait Gallery of London. So for her to never be out of Texas, and then her photo is all the way in London, I'm like, this is what I do it for, to tell our stories, to see how important our stories are. And so also with Black art, I think we think of art as a luxury. So we think it's almost unattainable for us. And so the work that I do is always, you're going to see yourself reflected. You're going to see yourself on the walls, on gallery walls, because we're that important, we're worthy, and we're deserving of that. So if you see a Mona Lisa, you should see, me.
That's a
facts.
Yes.
So yeah, that was probably one of my favorite projects. Another project was the Tita exhibit, because that was one of the most challenging projects I've had. We were in the pandemic again, and I have an artist who's very well known in Austin who has a project fully baked, but he can't tour. So he feels like he's saturated in this market. So it's like, do I not release this music? Like, I'm sitting on it. After a while, it's going to be outdated. What do I do? And so I was like, well, let's just do an art exhibit. Let's turn your album into a visual art exhibit. And he was like, yeah, nah. I don't want to do that. He's like, I don't want people to confuse my art, and all of this. And I was like, well, okay, who are some people, rappers or whatever, that you look up to? And he was like, Kanye and Thug. I said, so Kanye and Young Thug, how have they not branched out into other, arenas and art spaces? And so I jotted down a lot of his just like lyrics and things that he said, and we turned it into an art exhibit. And I'm thinking we're doing something on a smaller scale, but then ACL loved the art exhibit, and that then is what led to him getting his performance opportunity at ACL. So it's like, you never know how things work out. And then of course I would say the biggest one that people are now kind of getting familiar with was my hand in DreamCon and some of the work that I got to do with it coming to Austin. I did a lot of like just local partnerships and sponsorships. I helped with the affiliate like events, so the after parties and stuff like that. The RDC Live kickoff parties for the event. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You dropped a lot of heat.
You got your hand in the culture.
London,
ACL, DreamCon. Okay, cool. Lightweight.
Hey, Austin Mayor. I don't know what's his name, but she need her own day. We need that.
I don't know if I can do that as a city employee, but yeah, I would say that was like some of the fun stuff. And I did leave off one that I think probably was just amazing. I got to work with the FUBU team as they re-emerged back into the American market. So, we all was like, what happened to FUBU? Me included. But apparently, our culture is so amazing. The clothes that we wear and everything gets picked up in other countries. So it's like, do FUBU still try and be, at the top of the game or whatever in just urban fashion, or can you go over to China and Africa and sell billions of dollars of clothes and not have to, that type of competition? So that is where FUBU was. They went over to the Asian and African markets, but they realized just that it started here. So they wanted to re-emerge back into the American market. So you see them like in Walmart, they're in Forever 21. And so I got to work with some of the affiliate teams in that branding and just bringing it back, which is was amazing for me as a kid, because I'm like, I remember FUBU, and then, thinking this brand has gone away and feeling like, this is one of the brands that made you dream, and then to be a part of it was really cool.
That's so tight. That's amazing.
So you do so much. How do you juggle all these projects, having a child, full-time job? Like, how do you maneuver?
My people, like, I believe in just quality over quantity. The people I work with, they like believe in my dreams in a way that is unheard of, and I appreciate, my team. I don't have one baby, I got two. But I have an amazing partner. Ashton is always there for whatever dream I got, and like I said, I can't color inside the lines, but he can. So he's usually like, he knows how to build things, so he helps me out with building my sets, building my sculptures, putting my art together. He's always there every step of the way. My best friend Armisha, my little Virgo. So all the details that I miss, that anal analytical mind is always there. Like, think about this and this. And so it's really just my network is my net worth. And I believe that 100%. Like I said, being able to call on you and not having any money for the budget, and you like, well, this is what I can do. I may not be able to do everything. And, I'm just like that's how I get it done. And so I definitely just believe in showing my people love, knowing that I can't take all of the credit because it's not mine. It wouldn't be done without them.
That's dope.
That's tight.
So what's next? Where you see yourself in the next 5 years, or what's next for you?
I really don't know. I actually am getting in this place where it's like I'm scared to say certain things because I'm like, once you put it out in the ethos, in the air, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. And so I did my vision board, and I look at my vision board daily now, and it freaks me out that I've like been intentional about it, because I'm knocking everything out on my on my board, and I'm just like, I don't know, like, what does that mean? What's next? It's like some people do fear, not succeeding. Now I'm in this point of like, if I say this, like, I'm going to do it. Right. And, it's so much time and effort and stuff like that. But I got a show coming up in February at the Austin Public Library.
Nice.
So I'm working with an artist, Lita Harrison. She's a photographer, and it's called Black Girls Don't Wear Red Lipstick. And it's essentially just talking about bold women, highlighting bold women. And, growing up, we couldn't wear the bold red lipstick. Right. I tell my mom, like, I heard it called Ho Red. Like, you couldn't, and so now I'm all about women just being bold in whatever they're doing and wearing your red lipstick or not. And so that's kind of what that exhibit will focus on. In the meantime, I was telling Lita I wasn't really feeling as inspired or motivated. So I'm trying to get out to LA to see the Basquiat exhibit. I've already booked my ticket to Brooklyn because I got to see the Jay-Z exhibit. And I'm like, what are the odds? Like, I woke up and was like, oh, yeah, Jay-Z got an exhibit. And I was like, it's in the Brooklyn Public Library? I have a show in the Austin Public Library. Wow. Like, and I was feeling like I haven't really gotten into a lot of galleries in Austin. So I'm like, I don't know, it's not important.
No,
I'm like,
that's amazing.
But then to see Jay-Z in a public library, I'm like, this is a sign. Like, let me go to New York where it's so, just art is everywhere. And I feel like that's where I'm going to get that inspiration to just finish off this show.
That's dope. I almost wore my Basquiat shoes today. I saw the exhibit when it opened in Brooklyn last year. And when I tell you, like, I love museums. Mm-hmm. I'm a museum gallery girl, but like you, I'm not like this snooty art person. I'm kind of like, oh, I vibe with this. Like, I'm a move around.
It makes me feel good.
Yeah, Basquiat is probably the first artist that I really got into when I was in high school, probably like 15, 16. I've seen a lot of, Basquiat pieces. They did a tour through Atlanta. This exhibit is put on by his family. Yeah. It's his family pulling stuff out that's never been seen before. Yeah. And when you walk through it, you feel his energy. Yeah. You feel the family energy because they have interviews all over the place. Like, I can't wait for you to see it. Like, I'm coming. When I come back, we got to talk about it. Because when I tell you, it's 100% the most inspiring. I've been to Paris. I've been to museums all over there. London, Mexico. I've been to museums. Like, there's nothing like this Basquiat exhibit. Yeah. It breathes and you feel it and you flow in the space. Like, I'm so excited for you to see it.
Thank you. I'm so excited too. I had one of my old bosses. I can't mention her name because her dad was deep in the Black Panthers and, you know, for her safety, but she did she had works from like Assata Shakur.
Wow.
She had works from, you know, from Basquiat, and apparently like he started throwing parties when he was younger and he would draw the flyers. And so she actually has one of his hand-drawn flyers.
Whoa.
And when I saw that, I was just like, I have to see his work.
Yeah,
because
there's a connection there.
Right, and it's a connection to me because I feel like we've got to start somewhere.
Yes.
Like, to be Basquiat and have $1 million paintings that, you know, are sought after, but you started out just designing flyers for block parties.
Facts.
You know, I'm like, that speaks to the dreamer in me, and I hope the dreamer in a lot of us.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of dreamers, for all our dreamers watching, creative entrepreneurs, just what's one piece of advice or tool you would give that person that's building their own dreams?
I would say something that my artist friend says to me a lot of times when I tell him an idea about something, and I'm like, oh yeah, well, I don't want to do that. Or when I see an idea I made a mention to him and somebody else executed it, and I'm like, that's my idea. And he's like, nah, the idea belongs to the person who executes it. So I think that's why I'm always like moving, you know, so quickly, because it's like, I could be thinking this thing right here in Austin the same time somebody in Djibouti, Africa is thinking the same thing where they are. And whose idea does it belong to? Who thought this first? If we think about things, there's nothing new under the sun and different things like that. I feel like it's energy that we pass on, ideas, the people we work with, all of those things. So it's not your idea until you execute it.
Yeesh,
so
that's good.
Get out there and get it.
Yo, that's typically how we end, but I just have to tell you the connection right here. I'm reading a book called Big Magic right now, and that's the whole concept of the book, is that there are thoughts sent through the world that God just sends. And if you don't do it, it's on to the next one, because God's like, this idea has to be done.
If it has to be done.
Sometimes when we iterate an idea, we may be the 10th or the 1,000th person that it came to, but who is going to execute that idea?
Exactly.
I've had that book sitting in my Audible for 2 years, and I just started reading it last week. It's crazy that you just said that. Wow.
Jeez. So I guess, where can people find you? How can they support you? Drop your usernames. All
Okay.
of that.
So you can find me mostly on Instagram, lurking, y'all. It's Airless, HEIR_LESS. I purposely don't have a website because, like, I really kind of work on the things I want to work on, and then I get requests from people for their projects. So I just don't have the capacity. So I'm like, I don't want to create, you know, a wait list or something like that. Have you waiting on my idea, because now I'm stopping you from executing it. So, if you want to contact me, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. I never really talk about a lot of my projects. But if you have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out. I'm always open. I don't charge for everything. Don't charge for every word.
But also, y'all pay the woman.
Facts. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, tap in to the podcast, and then we see y'all next time.
Peace.
Thank you.